Hey guys, it's Maddie, your favorite yellow sugar glider in the pineapple hat, and today I'm going to be talking about whether or not the current LPS would be considered Generation 5 instead of Generation 4. I know this may sound crazy, but please hear me out. I'm going to try and explain why I think this. Okay, so first we need to clearly establish what it means to be a different generation. I would say the rules to be considered a different generation would be there would have to be a difference between that, is present in all of the LPS of a certain generation, or at least all the main ones, that make them easily identifiable from other generations. Okay, so right here I have one LPS from each generation, 4 from the established generations, and 1 from what I would consider Generation 5. So the difference between Generation 1 and 2 is actually very small. The only clear difference between the generations, yes, in Generation 2, they did tend to give them more intricate and creative designs, but the only 100% way to tell whether or not it's a Generation 1 or a Generation 2 is the one fact that Generation 1s have magnets, and Generation 2s are just like the Generation 1s, except they have holes. And with Generation 3, we have an obviously different LPS design. The heads aren't bobbleheads. The heads can come off, even though they're really hard to get back on. And they usually have holes similar to the Generation 2s, but they're so different in design with the thing with the heads, it's easy to tell a Generation 3 from any other generation. And then we have, of course, Generation 4. They brought back the bobbleheads, but drastically changed the design. And you will notice in the Generation 4s, people point out the thing with the code for the LPS app, and the teeny tiny hole, and the fact that the heads come off. Now I'm going to explain the differences I think define Generation 4 and Generation 5. Okay, so the first reason I think this is probably my weakest point, so I want to get it out of the way, but I still want to say it. They restarted the numbers. Starting with the Rainbow Pets, I believe it's this one, but don't quote me on that. That they have restarted the numbers. And again, I know that's kind of a weak point because they did restart the numbers in the middle of what I would call Generation 4. But yeah, it still is something to consider. Okay, my second point would be the eyes. Look at this classic Generation 4, this one which I would consider a Generation 5. Look at the eyes. This one's kind of creepy, with the way they paint it, and this one they made them flatter. They still have some dimension, but I can feel it, but they're a lot flatter, and I would say, though it's a personal opinion, that they are better designed. Okay, now to talk about the original reason I came up with this theory. Because with the newer ones, ever since they started redoing the numbers, they've changed the little logo or whatever. Like on this one, don't know if you can see it, but it's like in the LPS, it's actually engraved instead of having this painted on paw print thing with the code for the app. But still, I don't think this is the difference between Gen 4 and Gen 5. The main reason I think this is because, well, of ones like this butterfly. They have both the code for the app and the engraved LPS. So, yeah, having or not having the app thing or the engraved LPS, yeah, I don't think that's the thing to tell the difference. Okay, so I know you guys have probably waited long enough with me explaining my other points, so here is what I really think is the defining thing to separate Generation 5 from Generation 4. And it's the most complained about thing from Generation 4. The fact that Generation 4's, the heads come off. And in what I would consider Generation 5, nope, not coming off. I probably could get it off if I wanted to, but if I did, it's not going back on. So, yeah, let me put this one's, whatever. But yeah, I would say that the main thing to tell the difference between what I would consider Generation 5 from Generation 4 is the fact with the Generation 4s, the heads come off, and with Generation 5, the heads do not. And I know a lot of you are probably going to say, Maddie, that's not enough difference for you to consider it a whole different generation, but think of the difference between Generation 1 and Generation 2. The only concrete difference. There are a lot of differences in the playsets and the designs, but they do overlap a lot. There are some things that are usually used in Generation 2, but were used a little bit in Gen 1, etc. Like the thing with the codes and the eyes and everything. So I would say this would be the main difference if this were to be considered Generation 5. And another thing to consider is that the whole generations thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, and what I'm proposing 5, it's not a thing that Hasbro comes out and says. It's a thing that us, the fans, mainly LPS tubers, came up with. So it's really our choice to decide the difference between generations. So anyway, please leave me comments on this video letting me know if you think the newer LPS should be considered Generation 5 instead of Generation 4. Or if you think they should all be considered Generation 4. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to check out my other social medias, including LPS Amino, which is awesome. So, anyway, I'm kind of starting to ramble or whatever. Well, not really. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you again on LPS Pineapple Incorporated. Bye, guys!